Hello, my name is Sajjad Razak.
Good morning. My name is Abigail Mamakuyumi, and our research topic was over cell division and abnormalities. And the disorder we're going to be focusing on will be Down syndrome.
What is Down syndrome and what causes it? Down syndrome is a disorder causing development and intellectual delays. It is usually caused by cell abnormality in cell division, causing an extra genetic chromosome of 21. Consequences, symptoms, and diagnosis of Down syndrome. When some or all of the person's cells have an extra chromosome in set 21, then Down syndrome occurs. Cell division in Down syndrome. First of all, we got mitosis. It's how all autosomal cells divide. And Down syndrome occurs when non-disjunction happens at the phase anaphase. It's basically when they're trying to split, and then we got unbalanced, uneven number of chromosomes in each new cell, and that's when Down syndrome occurs. Cell division in Down syndrome continue. The second part of cell division is meiosis, and meiosis is all the sex cells dividing. That's all of it. And Down syndrome happens when non-disjunction could occur either in meiosis 1 anaphase 1 or in meiosis 2. How does Down syndrome affect development? The characteristic of Down syndrome may include low muscle tone, a short stature, and a flat nasal bridge, and also a long tongue. There also may be a problem with attention and tendency to make poor decisions. People with Down syndrome also reach a development milestone a little later than their peers. Risk factors for having a baby with Down syndrome are advanced maternal age. As a woman gets older, her chance of getting a baby with Down syndrome increases because her eggs are having a higher chance of getting non-disjunction cell division. Another risk factor is being a carrier of genetically translocation for Down syndrome. And then last factor is already having a baby with Down syndrome. That increases the chance of having another one with Down syndrome. So how common is Down syndrome? 1 in every 1,000 people are born with Down syndrome. So that's approximately 3,000 to 5,000 people born with Down syndrome each year.
Latest discovery in science. According to Science Daily, researchers have recently analyzed the proteins of individuals with trisomy 21 for the first time. The goal was to improve our understanding of how a copy of chromosome 21 could affect human development. Latest discoveries continues. Research shows that trisomy 21 are from only affecting proteins encoded by the chromosome 21 genes also impacts on the proteins encoded by the genes located on other chromosomes. Types of Down syndrome. First one will be trisomy 21, which is pretty much the most common type of Down syndrome. It's when the 21 pair has an extra chromosome, which affects development such as squinted eyes, flat nose, protruding tongue, or difficulty speaking. Here is an image of what trisomy 21 looks like with chromosomes. Here you can see that the chromosome 21 pair has an extra one, which is pretty much what makes it trisomy 21 Down syndrome. Mosaic Down syndrome is a rare type of Down syndrome, even though it does have an extra 21 chromosome. The main cause of it is because there's abnormal cell division after fertilization. Here is an image of mosaic Down syndrome. As you can see, instead of having 2 healthy chromosomes, it has 3. And here is 2 right here, which is an example of what the healthy chromosome set would look like. And then on top is the set of the unhealthy chromosome because it has an extra pair to the 21. The last type of Down syndrome would be translocation Down syndrome, which is pretty much explanatory because the bet is in the name. It's when one of the 21 chromosomes translocates to another chromosome. Here's a visual representation of translocation Down syndrome. And as you can see here, a part of chromosome 21 translocates to chromosome 14. To conclude this presentation, women older than 35 are more likely to give birth to children with Down syndrome, and Down syndrome is an abnormality that affects the development of a child. There are not really any cures for it, but there are therapies that a child can go through and different programs to make the child's life easier to deal with when having Down syndrome. Thank you.
Here is a quick video going into depth of what Down syndrome is.
Down syndrome is the most common chromosomal condition that exists in mankind. About 1 out of every 733 babies that are born have Down syndrome, which means that about 400,000 people with Down syndrome live in the United States today. And when someone has Down syndrome, it means that they might have certain medical aspects and conditions that go with it. About 50% of people born with Down syndrome will have a heart condition, and some people with Down syndrome will have some endocrine and some gastroenterology issues that need to be addressed. People with Down syndrome sometimes have some developmental milestones that take a little bit longer to reach, and sometimes they require some extra help in the classroom. But what mothers and fathers who have children with Down syndrome say is that extra chromosome that causes it also brings a lot of lessons in patience, perseverance, and love.